Hello, welcome back. On this channel, I don't think you've been introduced to her yet, so she was being mischievous, so I figured I'd grab her anyways. This is Office Kitty. Isn't she glorious? She is my little black void that she was roaming around the canyon, and I didn't handle that well because she got attacked by something, and that was the end of that. She was done being an outside kind of stray cat situation, and she is living her best indoor cat with a catio life. So speaking of priorities, as was the actual intention of this video, earlier in this month I talked about my writing goal thing of doing an hour of writing every day of the work week. I wanted to check in and talk about my work priorities and how that's going, because that's not it. I have big grand goals of how I should live my life, and then my actual real like raccoon brain kicks in and says no. Like, I can't do this. And doing something consistently every day, the same thing, I can't. Like, I will not do it. And writing is one of those. And I think the big thing is that realistically, for career things, writing is not my main job. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm getting okay with that the more I go. And when I think about where I want, like, monies to actually come in to, like, pay the bills, I'm okay with it not, like, the main source being from books. Would it be nice? Yes. But I'm not that upset if it's not. Like, I'm slowly moving into the era of, like, I'm still doing it as a job, but not as, like, my main focus. It's, like, my like, second job, for lack of better wording, because I view it as work, because to say that it's, you know, you're just doing it for funsies, it's like, well, if I'm doing something for fun, I wouldn't do it. Like, I would write, you know, like a little bit once a year, and like most of the time, I'm just gonna happily stare at birds and watch my little squirrel chilling in my driveway. Like, I don't want to work. I don't think anyone really wants to work. So keeping that in mind, like, my ideal would be just like literally staring at plants and drinking tea. So like, it's still work, it's still hard, but it's not clocking in and having a boss. You know, it's still a job that I love to do. It's my favorite thing. I've been working on it for so long. Most of my life I've said, you know, I want to be a writer. I'm now an author. I've published technically 9 books, but as I mentioned earlier this month, I'm moving that number down to 4, simply because my fiction doesn't sell anyways, and I'm moving out of trying to be a double pen name author and just one genre. That's what I do, and that is nonfiction witchcraft. So I'm down to 4 books instead of 9, but it's you know, it's not that big of a difference. To some people that's a huge difference. But also, you know, to me it's not really. Like, I'll probably hit that by the end of the year. I hope, if not further actually, because I have goals. I would like to hit like 10 witchcraft books published by the time I turn 30 in like a couple months, so we'll see. But one of the things that I've noticed is I think there's a lot to be said about going with your own natural routines. And this is something that, for the most part, it's only going to apply to a few people where you can do this. So if this does not apply to your life at all, that's cool. Do what you gotta. When I had full-time jobs, I prioritized writing a lot. I did that more than YouTube at the time. And so I was doing that before work, every break, after work, weekends. I was fitting it in where I could. And now it's kind of switched. And YouTube is the thing I do the most, and it's the thing I look forward to the most, but also it's the thing that actually feels like it has the most payoff, where books, I don't have that community aspect, where videos, I feel like I'm talking to you, and you can return the conversation, you know? Like, you can timestamp to an exact spot and reply. And, you know, I can have messages and different things, where books, not really. Like, at most, you might have somebody say, oh, like, this book helped me, thanks so much for writing it, but that's really rare. And then, you know, I think I've only had that, like, twice, ever. And that was my first witchcraft book. And since then, not at all. At all. And, you know, trying to look at reviews, it's really not for the author. The review is not to communicate to the author, it's to communicate to other readers. And so that's not a space that authors really should be getting into much. I don't check my reviews. Once in a blue moon, I check to see if I have any, and most of the time it's no. And so like, it's not the community space. It's not the space where you're gonna build your community. Some authors can do that, and like, I am envious of that skill. That's not for me. Mine is more building my community out of like, again, just the most random things of YouTube and talking about whatever on this channel and on my main channel. And it feels more of the community space, and it's more of where I want to put my focus. And then books is just a bonus thing that I do. And that's not to say that I don't want to do it. Like, I have my writing goals. I still, you know, in this lifetime, I want to write technically 100 books, but it's like 99 and then a memoir and then go from there if I want to. And that's like my big goal of life. And that still holds, but also I don't feel like I have to have that on like a time crunch to make sure it happens, that it's like, before I turn 40, I'm gonna have all of those done. Because I could do that, you know? That realistically could happen. If you're publishing 11 books every year, you only need to do that for 9 years and then you're done, right? Like, it can happen. But I don't know that I want to work that hardcore. Like, if I do, cool, that'll be great. But like, also, if I don't, it's okay. And that my writing is just more something I just kind of do as I do. And it's not like it never becomes, it's a secondary priority. That's the only way I can describe it. It's still a priority, but it's not the primary priority. It's the secondary. And my primary is videos. Again, it is the place I most realistically make money. And like, I know that we shouldn't always talk about money, but also like, it's a big factor. Again, no, like, there's very few other jobs where you would do this and then you don't talk about it, you know? Like, you know, there's not many jobs where you work and you do the thing hours and hours and hours, weeks and weeks and weeks, and then you might get a tiny, tiny, tiny little paycheck. And we're talking like $20 a month, if that, if you're lucky, you know, like that level. And yet it's more than zero. Like, YouTube, I can guarantee every day, even if I've gone days without an upload, I'm still gonna at least make more than zero in a day, which is, again, not a lot, but it's more than zero. And with my book sales, there's been months of it sitting at zero, and that's pretty discouraging. And again, there's this weird line of people who aren't in the creative fields will be like, well, don't just do it for the money. It's like, I'm not. But also, I don't see you doing your job for no money either. Like, you want to get paid. And it's hard to want to do something and never get a return on it. And again, there's not the community space with the writing, but I like having it done. And I think it is just the growing pains that it's in right now. And that's why I struggle. And I think there's just something about moving it into the secondary position of like, just adjusting my schedule a little bit to really more align with my more chaotic systems, which is to switch between those two modalities of the writing an hour a day where I'm reading a book every day and stocking up on my reading that way, and then having a couple days to record each week, having a couple days to edit, and then writing throughout that whole time. And then there's also this version, which is more realistically what I actually do, which is chaos, story of my life. And by that, I mean, this is where I'm going to take like a couple days to just binge some books. Like, I can sit and read like 3 to 4 books a day on a read day where I do nothing else, like very much to nothing else. And that's all I do. And that's easy to do, to just sit down and read a book, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. About the 4th book, I'm starting to get a little burnt out for the day, but I can do it. And honestly, if you switch it up with something in between, do some walking, do some exercise, it breaks it up enough. And reading like I do, my books are pretty varied. So, you know, I can do my Patreon, where it could be a fiction book, it could be like a philosophical, maybe spiritual book, and then also jump into, we're gonna talk about candle magic, and then we're gonna talk about zodiacs. And it can be varied, and then it doesn't feel so monotonous. And that works really good, to just have some read time to just like deep dive down and focus, get through them, get done. And some days, you know, I'm gonna have a read day and it's one book because it's a freaking massive, huge encyclopedia. I've done that. I've read encyclopedias. And so, you know, just having a little bit of cushion on what needs to happen with that, because that's a whole day dedicated. You know, that takes a chunk out of my week of to-do stuffs. But also to have some time to do that with writing as well, where I could have a write day, where I do the same thing as I would with a reading day of, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna write, like, usually I just do a chapter. My chapters are about 1,000 words. And so write a chapter, go walk, do loops for 30 minutes, come back, do another. After that's done, go do a workout, come back, do more, get like 3 or 4 chapters done in a day. And that's all that I do that day. And that also feels good because I love hyper-focusing. I love just dedicating doing one thing for the whole day. And again, excluding a little bit of like working out or cooking or whatever I need to do, like the regular mundane existing stuff, I like doing that. But sometimes I don't. And sometimes I like to go back to the other routine of a little bit every day of like, you could do reading in the morning, do some workouts, write, record and edit in the same day, and then it's done. That also is something I like to do every once in a while, but like the core essence of who I am, I'm very much a bulk person. like this, I've been recording all day today. I took a huge section of the day and I've split what I'm recording, and I got like, I think it was like 14 videos recorded today, which is a lot, but that's all I did today. Like that's all I'm gonna do. The most else I'm gonna go do is try and learn how to make ketchup after this. And, you know, maybe I can get a video edited today, but that's it. And then tomorrow it'll be editing day and I'm gonna edit all of these videos and that's all I'm gonna do that day. And, you know, that system works pretty well for me. And I can fit other stuff in if I feel like it. But, you know, if I'm really feeling motivated to write, I could do a chapter, but I'm not right now. And I want to prioritize the things that could potentially make me money and potentially make it so this could be, you know, it feels sustainable and feels like a job, because it feels weird to call it work when you don't even make enough money to like file taxes. And I'm trying to get over that. I'm trying not to complain about it too much, but it is hard, and it is my lived reality. And I know it's gonna have a shifting point, and then it's gonna feel good, and then it's gonna be great. But it is hard when you've been doing YouTube since 2011 and you see channels that started up like last year and they've like surpassed you instantly, and you're like, that's great. Good for you. And you're over here still like, okay, so I'm just boring. That's cool. And then you're like, what do I need to do different? So, and that's the thing, is like, I just don't care as much. Like, I think that's just something that happens when you get close to 30. You just like don't care. And it's like you do care, but it's like a different kind. And it's just changing. And I think prioritizing YouTube, prioritizing where I actually have community and where, you know, I have the most feedback monetarily, socially. I mean, again, money's great, but also having that community space is really nice. It is really cool to be able to have people who talk to you. Like, it sounds silly, but like it makes a difference, and you don't get that in author spaces as much. And especially as a small indie author, I don't have that. I don't have writer friends, and the ones that I do, it's usually, you know, they're in such competition, and it's like, I don't care, dude. Like, again, I've told the story 1,000 times of the quality versus quantity argument, and I'm over here with quantity becomes quality. The more you do, the better you do. And they're the opposite of, you're just gonna work on the one book until you die and maybe you'll have it done by then. And I'd rather have a whole backlog to show my writing progress over the decades. And right now I have just over a decade of work, and I published my first one in 2014. It's now 2026. Like, it's been a long time, and I'd rather see what more I could do, and if I had done more, where could I be now? And I don't know. And then just, again, I like having the space of community in YouTube. And again, I haven't really found that with authors. And like trying to find other like witchcraft authors that aren't in the nicest way possible, kind of weirdos, that's hard. So until tomorrow's tomorrow, see y'all later.